Hernandez.
And today we have a very special guest. We have Jenny Santos with us. Thank you for being on our show today, Jenny. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
How much do I say?
Everything.
Hi,
Everything.
everyone.
This is your show.
Hi, everyone. I look at the camera, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're good.
My name is Jenny Santos Maldonado. I am, here we go. I'm Guatemalan and Mexican. I am the oldest of several siblings that I know of. I have 3 half siblings and then a step sibling. I think, I'm a grad student. I'm in my master's program right now at Dominican University, hoping to be a licensed marriage and family therapist. What else can I say? I'm a personal trainer, but at 45, so in a group setting, and I'm a dancer / choreographer. I've done quinces for a very long time, and I'm trying to actually elevate that journey. So I'll probably get into that as well. What else can I say?
So you're a jack of all trades. You do it all.
Oh, wait. And I'm a Gemini. Let's make that clear.
And a Gemini. All right. Well, thank you so much for introducing yourself, Jenny. We're really, really excited to have you on the show today with us. Right before we kind of delve into your life, your interests, I wanted to ask you both. This question is, what's your favorite type of food? Like, what's your go-to food? I know it's been cold recently, so that might skew the answers a little bit, but what's like your go-to food?
Go-to. Ooh, I know.
All right.
You
can start. Yeah,
okay.
You can start. Go for it.
Hawaiian barbecue from this spot right here.
Oh, Mauna Loa?
Yes.
Really?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I don't think I've
love
eaten there.
You have to try it.
You have to go to Mauna Loa like at least once. We get it here all the time. When I'm working
you
here,
go
we
there.
get it all the time. We order food from there all the time. The only issue I have with them is during lunchtime, they're super busy.
I know.
I remember once we called, we did like a 4 order call, and we told them, hey, so how long is it going to take? And they're like, oh, about an hour and a half. I'm like, we're not going to wait that long. Sorry. We're sorry. We're not going to wait that long. So they've been really, really busy. But it's been there for such a long time.
It speaks for itself then. It's good.
Yes, it's really, really good. And it's super like if you're trying to like eat something nice and balanced, nice and healthy, you just go there basically. Because you get like their Hawaiian barbecue chicken's really good. Their steak combo, like it's sort of like all those different steaks, super like everything just tastes so well made there.
So well made. Oh my gosh. I only eat it on strength days because I know I need the extra protein.
Protein, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. Well, I'm excited to learn more about you. And
Wait, but what's your favorite food?
Yeah. What was your favorite food?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh man, that kind of I don't know. I don't even. Oh, I love pupusas.
Oh,
that's my go-to. Like, if I'm feeling emotional, my go-to food is pupusas. I love pupusas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot of good pupusa places here in San Rafael now, especially in San Rafael and Marin. Like, there's the one near the Civic Center. There's a new one that opened up near the Wells Fargo Bank.
I like that one.
Really?
Yeah, and then there's some in Canal, obviously.
Okay.
A lot
And
in Canal.
horchata. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I love Salvadorian horchata.
Oh, wow. So
That's the one that's like a different color, right? It's
It's like a little brown.
brownish, right?
Really?
Yeah, it's a different color.
I mean,
I've
I
never
just-
tried it. I really want
like
to try it though.
Try it.
okay, now maybe I should go there after.
I think the first time it might throw you off. You might be used to the other one. But keep trying it. You'll like it. It'll grow on you.
And then for me, my go-to food as of late has always just been Indian food. Really love Indian food.
That's right. He does like Indian food.
I like Indian food quite a bit. And that's honestly a new thing that's happened for me. I don't think I would have said that like a year ago. But I think since that we have an Indian buffet right here in the corner of where we are, we have 3 Indian buffets
I was
here.
just gonna say, are they the same people?
No, they're all separate. They're all different Indian buffets. I've tried all 3. And honestly, I really like Lotus, which is the one you're probably talking about, the one right over the block over there. Lotus is really good, and New Delhi is good as well. And it's just, I don't know, I just really like Indian food because of all the complicated spices, how complicated the food can get, and the all the different like flavors you can mix in. It's just awesome. So it's always a good experience eating Indian food.
Yeah. Their hospitality too is great. I walked into the Lotus one and I was just blown away. They were so attentive. Yeah, they like took 2 different orders at the same time.
Oh, wow. I haven't been there. I'm not much of an Indian food person.
Have you tried it?
Yes, I don't know. I feel like too many spices. But I have to try it again. This is a while ago, so I think I need to retry it.
Please do. My first experience, I was like, oh, whoa, my stomach couldn't handle it.
Right.
But I did it like 2 more times.
Yeah,
You get
I
used
feel
to
like
it.
that was with me. It was just a little bit too many. Oh my goodness, my spices. But I'm gonna try again because he's been telling me to go there, but I haven't taken the time to.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So thank you both for sharing. We all love food here, so that's great. So moving into it. So you mentioned a lot about yourself, Jenny, and I kind of just want to start with the dance aspect of you. So what got you into dance in the first place? Like, where did you start for the itch of dancing? Where did that come from?
There's a lot of videos, those videos of me dancing when I was little. So I don't know exactly what sparked it, but I'd say from what I can remember, it was the shows, the movies. Bailando por un Sueño, I loved.
Oh my god, dude, I hadn't heard that in so long. Yeah, that was when Sábado Gigante was still a thing.
Yes, I loved watching that show, seeing all the celebrities get in there and dance, and they just look so confident. I think, well, that also, and then Bring It On, like the cheer aspect, but there's still some dance, and then Step Up. All of those.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the
put
Step Up
together.
movies.
The Step Up movies.
Yeah.
I think that I, like, subconsciously, there was this community aspect, this confidence, this self-expression that I really wanted at the time. And so I kind of delved into it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think that I really got into it until like the end of high school. I started with cheer. Actually, what really kicked it off was my quince, which was a Sweet 16. And that was the first time I ever performed, a dance in front of a lot of people. And I felt confident. And then I watched the video back sometimes. I'm like, damn, I did that. And yeah, from that point on, I got into cheer, and then I did dancing. I went to Chile, so I studied abroad, and I danced out there for 4 months, I think. Reggaeton.
Wow.
That's
What were you studying in Chile?
Chile sociology.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I danced reggaeton out there. That's when I found out that you could dance to reggaeton. I thought it was just like hip movement. That's it. There's so much more to it.
really?
Yeah, I loved it. And then I came back and I became part of a salsa bachata dance team. That's where we did the showcases that I was talking about. And then throughout from 2013 up until now, I've been doing quinceañeras. But yeah, it was the shows. Sorry, I like rambled.
No, that's completely fine. Actually, so still speaking about Chile, that's really cool that you got to go over there and study. How did you feel like how was like the dance culture there in Chile compared to like the culture you see here?
Well,
because every dance culture is different.
So
right?
I mean, even just city to city, it's different. Because when I was saying earlier, when I went to LA, it was so intimidating. I'm never coming back to these dance studios.
Well, yeah, could you talk about that, about the LA experience?
Yeah, well, I mean, you walk into there, and I think a lot of people LA, I feel like is a city of entertainment, and people want to be discovered. They go there to go after this dream. And I think that a lot of them are going to these dance classes with that in mind. Like, I want to be recognized, or I want to stand out. They're taking it very seriously, and I could feel that in the room. There's like certain faces that people would give that I was like, I don't know if they're
like they're just taking really,
or,
really
they're
they're locked in. They're locked in.
Super locked in. But then in Chile, al contrario, it was so different. People are very supportive there. It's a passion, you can tell. And they're growing their dancers so the dancers can become teachers as well. But it's not like competitive. I didn't think there was a sense of competitiveness out there. Yeah, it was very different.
So interesting.
And you think that's again, and this can be applied to a lot of things, because I feel that too. When you have so much passion for something, you start having to look for that balance. It's like, okay, how casual do I want it to be, or how competitive do I want to get with it, right? And I feel like I can get with any hobby, right?
Yeah.
Like finding that balance of casual and competitiveness, it's so different, because like you said, when you were in Chile, it was much more chill. People were more casual, and it was more fun. Casual is usually more fun. Competitive, you just have to be it's more serious, less. Yeah. It starts becoming, I don't know, maybe a little less fun, but some people find fun in the competitiveness. So
I will say there was something about dancing in Chile that was still difficult because everything was in Spanish. And I feel more confident and fluent in English.
I see.
So hearing them speak the counter in Spanish, everything, it's all Spanish music.
And the Chileans have a certain way of speaking Spanish
oh my
too.
God, their speed, oh God.
It's super fast.
Super fast. So there was a little anxiety there, but I think it helped me be a stronger dancer. Yeah.
You touched on the confidence part of dance. And I wanted to hear more about that part of like, how does it feel when you're dancing, or what makes you feel more confident in dance?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really curious on that aspect.
Ooh, okay. Well, I'll say I feel like what allows me to be more confident in dance is being able to tap into emotions that I otherwise wouldn't, or like certain personas that just aren't part of my natural day-to-day personality, I guess. When you're dancing, you're listening to the music, and I feel like you're interpreting the music and you're using your body to express whatever the lyrics are. So I'm thinking of like R&B, there's some passion. Bachata, there's this desire, there's lust. Rap, like sometimes there's some anger in there. And so you get to tap into these emotions that maybe just wouldn't come naturally, or maybe we're trying to avoid, but we get to do that with dance. And I really like that because it helps me with expressing things that, maybe I have a hard time expressing. Yeah.
And that's you brought up a good point about the music, like how much of an influence the music actually really has on your dancing. Because again, like me, I'm not a dancer. I'm not a good dancer. I tell myself all the time that, but I think it's just like a lack of teaching of dance. But
you got to take my class.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I mentioned this with our other guest last time, with Moy, who, another dancer here. It's just, it does help to know just music in general, like beats to a music, right? Like rhythms to a music, like every song has a rhythm to it, all tempo, all of that stuff. But from someone coming, like, if someone doesn't understand those things, I think it can be even a little more tough to get into, to really get into the rhythm of things, right? But it's just, again, these things come with practice. But yeah, thank you for sharing that.
I was going to say, dance is a vulnerable thing. You're in your body, and some people might be uncomfortable with that, to like be in their body and move their body in ways that they've never moved it before. I feel like you really have to be courageous when you're dancing to just explore like what your body can do, and trust that your body can handle what it's going to do.
Right.
Yeah. I ask, and I love how you talk about dance. I grew up in my whole family, we grew up in a very like dance is not good type of environment. So growing up, I never really knew how to dance like our traditional Latin dances. A lot of people, they'll know how to dance, cumbia, merengue, bachata, and I'm always the one who doesn't know how to dance, because I was always, it's just this thing that it's not my parents who say, it's just that they never got the experience to learn how to dance, so they couldn't teach me how to dance. And I always have a hard time moving. I'm like, I don't know how to move. I don't know what you're talking about. But when dancers always often say like, it's a way for me to express myself, I feel, I'm like, how, why? So the fact that you're explaining it in that area, I find it really interesting, and it pushes me to explore that area that, again, you're like, maybe you find it uncomfortable because it's not something that I'm used to. And so for anyone out there, it's a form of communicating with yourself, which I find it very beautiful.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah. So talking about like dancing, you mentioned a lot of different dances.
Yeah.
So like reggaeton, bachata, salsa, all these different. Which one of those is your favorite, or which one do you kind of lean more towards?
I love this question because I can never answer it. I feel like it depends on my mood. I'm also a Gemini, like I said earlier, so I'm always fluctuating.
Yeah. Well, recently, as of recently,
what's my favorite dance style? I feel by default it's always going to be reggaeton. I have a special place for reggaeton. Maybe because I spent a lot of time training in reggaeton when I was abroad. But I do always have to give credit to salsa and bachata. There's something about it, especially salsa. When you dance salsa, like you feel so happy. There's these emotions, like there's this pride, I don't know, joy, happiness. It's so contagious. But I don't feel too confident in it yet. But it is, I do like what it does to me, how it makes me feel.
The music. When we went to, or I went to dance to Glenda's class with Moy, and bachata, you just playing the music, you already want to move. I can feel that. I do have a follow-up question on, like, how do you approach like learning new dance styles and techniques? How is that easy for you, or is that challenging, or
new dance techniques? Lots of repetition. So much repetition, because the body's never done it before. So it's going to feel so unnatural at first. Keep doing it again and again and again. Ask questions. I feel like that's something that if you were to ask me what tip to give to a beginner, ask questions. Ask so many questions. That dance class is for you. You know, you're there. Ask questions because the teacher and maybe your peers are going to have different ways of explaining it. And let's see, is there another thing? Yeah, I think that's kind of it.
Well, to add to that, I actually wanted to ask, what advice do you have for people who are just stiff? You know, because I think that's the big hurdle. I think with stiffness comes the again, like that, letting your body just express itself, right? Yeah. That's kind of what happens there. But I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm thinking versatility. That's what's coming to my mind. Like, get yourself in any sort of movement. It doesn't have to be necessarily dance. I personally feel like ever since I started doing HIIT training at F45, it's helped me become a stronger dancer. I kind of stopped going to the dance studio for, I'd say, like 4 to 5 months. When I went back, I was like, oh shoot, like I can spin quicker. My balance is there. You have to train outside of dancing. I think that helps.
Oh, really?
But also, again, with the repetition, like the fundamentals, things as just like hip rolls, just rolling your hips, moving your chest, just getting comfortable with exploring your body. Get in front of a mirror, like, and just like listen to music and let the music guide you.
Yeah. No, and I've heard that before. That just get more movement. Just move more, and that's how you'll be less stiff. No, that makes sense, because then you're training your whole body, your muscles, right? To get used to all these movements, because dancing requires so many different types of movements. And then you'll be toning your body, you'll be shaping your body in the process as well. So it's just it's also the confidence, right? Your confidence is going to come up, and that, again, great advice there.
Back to that repetition, like keep showing up. Just keep showing up to the dance classes. You're gonna grow on what you learned last time. And I think that sometimes that's where we can get discouraged, where it's like, oh, I didn't like that specific class, or I didn't like certain things of, I don't know, maybe the dance is really difficult or something. But keep coming back, because you're just laying another layer, you know, and it's at the end, or over time, you're going to realize how much growth you've done.
And speaking of your dance classes, so when do those take place?
So they take place every Friday, 6:30 p.m. As of lately, they've been at Susie's Studio, which is it's Irwin Street by Best Buy in Davidson.
That area.
But we're moving it to G Active, to the studio that Glenda is opening up, which you guys will probably hear about it eventually.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, you can expect it every Friday, 6:30 p.m. It's always going to be a different dance style.
Okay.
It's going to be taught by either me or Glenda or Moises, or collaboration. We do it all at once, which I think are our favorite ones, when we can all collaborate, because we all bring different energies, and I think that creates a great atmosphere.
And where could people sign up for these? Is there an Instagram they can follow?
Instagram, jmgdance.co.
Oh, JMG. Okay.
You can always see the schedule there, and the upcoming, that week's dance class, the theme. We like to do themes here and there. I think that's another piece, actually. If you show up to a dance class and you're really playing the part, like if you know it's hip hop and you dress hip hop-ish, that's going to help you too. You really have to get in the zone. Auto zone. I don't know why that came to my head. But the themes.
Okay.
And
I was going to ask you a follow-up follow-up question regarding that, because you were talking about how you started into dance, like, practicing more and more, and then now your classes. But in between that, what led to that? Because like I mentioned when you came in, like I went to school with your sister, and I always remember her saying, oh, my sister, my older sister, she does dance choreography for quinceañeras. And so I've always heard about that. And then more recently, I saw your work on IG since I started following you. I saw what you've been doing and the quinceañera dances, which are amazing. But I want to hear more of like what led to the quinceañera dances, and also having your classes now.
Yeah. I'll start with
because it's an important journey.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. The quinceañeras was interesting. So I've had a passion for dancing, or so I told myself. And I think my parents noticed that growing up. When I got into cheer, they'd see how committed I was, which I didn't give them an option. I was like, you have to sign this. And then I joined cheer. But
so cheer did help a lot.
Cheer helped a lot in terms of just exposing myself to that like performance aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then being also a team player, because you're there with other girls and you're throwing a girl in the air and catching her. I got like punched in the face once, but the Keen says, my cousin, and I'll give credit, Sandra Reyes, she's my stepdad's niece, and her parents reached out to me because there was 2 months left to her quince, and the day of practice, when she had all of her people there, the choreographer didn't show and said that they could no longer do it.
Wow.
For X reason, and they were freaking out because I think at that time it was also harder to find choreographers. I think now there's several more, but it threw them off. I mean, how much stress goes into planning something, and you've got all these people and they have to have a dance ready, and not just one dance, like 3 dances ready by the day of the quince. They reached out to me and they're like, come on, apréndase algo, like on YouTube. You can just like watch a YouTube video and just teach it to them. And my dad was the one that was like, this is an opportunity, like, you like to dance, you never know where this could take you. And so I was like, okay, fine. I took a leap of faith and I did it. I definitely did look at YouTube videos at first because I'm like, I've never done this before. I need some inspiration. And I reached out to my cousin so that she could help me, because then, we could rehearse dances together. And then I was a senior, 2013, 2 months before I'm about to graduate. And sorry.
No, you're good.
Like, what's happening over here? I need some water. And so I taught them this dance, and it was like, I think it was like 10 couples or something. And we learned the choreography, they performed it, and I think they gave me like a little shout out the day of the quince, like, oh, this was by Jenny Maldonado, if you want to hire her. And sure enough, like the calls started coming. And at the time I didn't know how to charge. I think I charged, I will admit, like $400 for everything. Like it was
all the practices.
All the practice, 2 month practice, like 2 months of practicing twice a week, 2 hours each.
Yeah.
And it was 10 couples, and it was like 3 dances.
Jeez.
It might have been 4 actually.
Yeah. Very undercharged.
Yeah.
Very undercharged.
I would say.
And so because I didn't have an experience.
Well, yeah.
And
you were going through the
and
process.
also it was family, so on top of that I was like, oh, whatever you want to give me. But yeah, from that point on I started learning the value of my work and my time, how much work goes into that. You're dealing with so many different learning styles, so many different personalities, skills. And then it just happened. I think the first year I did about 10 quinceañeras. Like it just...
Wow, 10 quinceañeras in a year?
Yeah. And then the second year, I started increasing my price a little bit. And I think it dropped down to like 9 quinceañeras. The third year, like every year, I increased my prices and it dropped a little more. But I needed that because I could not do that many events. There was that summer, 2014, that summer, I had quinces every weekend. It was nuts. And I was practicing every single day. Some days I was doing 2 practices at a time.
That's so much dedication.
And then driving from that place to this place, dealing with that family and then this family. It was so much.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Actually, interesting story. This one time a girl dropped out and I had to step in and dance day of the quince to be a dama. because
Whoa.
it's just, yeah, so much has happened.
Yeah.
Wow. I wanted to, from your experience with the quinceañeras, is that where the idea was born about your boy group, your guy group, boy group? Because I saw that and I thought that was really, from an outsider, someone who's also very like, I don't know how to dance, and my family doesn't know how to dance. So if I would have a quinceañera, I'd have no idea who I would ask for. So I did see that you guys have a group that people can hire with their quinceañera. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Is that where that came from, or how did that idea come from?
Yes. So like I said, 2013, 2023, 10 years of experience there. The craziest things happen. Kids drop out or get injured the week of. So then we have to like put a new person in.
That's like when the stress is all-time high for the quinces.
Yes. Or the chemistry is just not there, or the kids just they were forced to be in it. They're like, oh, I don't want to do this. There's other better things I could be doing. There's just so many elements that go into it. And for me, I think one of the frustrating things is that I personally, I love to go extra with my choreography. I like it to be very complex.
And be very your style.
Me.
Yeah, exactly.
And that gets limited. Every quince that I do, we're starting from kind of like from zero. I don't know who the dancers are until I show up to practice. I don't know if they have any experience. I don't know what their personality is going to be like. There's so many things I don't know that are out of my control. But when I meet with the quinceañera, like a month before, and we're planning all of this, she's telling me, this is what I want. This is what I want. Like, I want cargadas. I want, I want these songs, and all of that hypothetically sounds great. We have an image for it, but then the reality is so different. And so it's a 3-month process too, like I said, or for me, at least. I know other people don't start that early, but for me, I need to do 3-month process because I need to account for like the cancellations or someone dropping out. Like I need to be prepared for all of that. And so it's so time consuming. And one of the things that motivated me to start this group was, well, there's 2 things. One, I had the dancers that were willing to do it. The parents were like, yo quiero que mi hijo baile. Like, you can have him. I'll let you take him, and they can get paid, and we can be your manager, all this stuff. Like, they pitched the idea to me, like, here, come on, take the boys, because if they are entretenidos con el baile, they're going to be, like, when they're at parties, they're not going to be
shy or stiff.
Shy, stiff, or tempted to be doing other things. Sometimes kids fall into, like, wanting to, like, do things, other things, right? And so they're like, pero si él sabe bailar, él va a ir a sacar a una muchacha a bailar.
I like that thought.
Yeah, so I loved that. And the guys are motivated. They were thinking about names. They're like, yeah, we're going to call ourselves JS Boys. I thought that was so funny. But so se me presentó la oportunidad. They were like, here, you should do this. Imagine if you had look how good they performed during this quince. Imagine if all of these boys were your team. And then what truly switched it for me was realizing that I'm in my last year in my master's program, and I can't, like, last semester, there were moments where I cried. I was so stressed out. I sometimes would not go to sleep because I'm finishing a paper, but I also just got back from my dance practice at like 9:30 p.m. and the next day I have to be at work coaching. So I was like, I can't keep doing that to myself. So I need a team that I can train and they can just perform at all of these quinces. And I know that they're trained by me. They know my teaching style. We can have a playbook of dance routines and then modify it so that whichever songs they give us, we can adapt to it. But like, I can control that now.
You're really managing like a boy band here.
Oh,
almost.
Yeah, I saw the ad, like the Moy put out a video asking for dancers, and I found it so interesting, and it's just hearing as an outsider, you hear, she's done choreography, then has a group now, and then of course your classes. But I was like, I want to know like the story behind it, because out of everything there's always a story. Yeah, and there's like different things that an outsider doesn't see, but that you can only hear by asking.
Yeah.
And we'll get right into that again. We're actually going to take a small little break here, and we're going to play a quick little song, and we'll be right back. So this is Soul Purpose by our good friend Evolving Wings, and we'll be right back.
Yeah. Evolving Wings. Yeah. I'm a genius, original purpose, resurrect like the phoenix. From the mother lotus emerges, no longer feel wordless. To be a service to purpose, it's evolving wings por vida. Got them all like Nita, internal bleeding the brain got me insane. Explain the pain, me seats pain. My soul wounded, some wounds can't be computed. God's great shadows meet the darkest alley. Demons came for me, but archangels parried. Swift swings, shut the souls rapidly. Call it horror meets fantasy. Lower energies move like cavities. Sucker MCs, no substance. Ignore the earth's cry. Sucker MCs, no substance. Don't realize we never die. Misguided by subsidized lies. I'm guided by my ancestors' war cries. Borga floor spitting truth for courage in your spine. Evolving wings is manifesting your divine. Don't give up, fly. Compassionate campaign, my sole purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate campaign, my sole purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate campaign, my sole purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate campaign, my sole purpose. Wings up, wings up.
All right, and we're back. So again, that was Soul Purpose by Evolving Wings. You can check out his new album, Soul Purpose, on Spotify and Apple Music. And yeah, so I just wanted to make a quick announcement that we are having our open mic night tonight here at the Multicultural Center from 6 to 8 p.m. There will be free pizza, free drinks, and it's just a great environment if you want to meet some new artists, meet some new people. And again, if you can't make it to this open mic, our other open mics are every last Friday of every month. And yeah, we hope to see some of you there. And then I also wanted to make an announcement that we will be tabling, or not myself, but Santi and Kimberly will be tabling at the Teen Girl Conference on March 3rd, which is, off the top of my head, I believe it's at 9 a.m., 10 a.m. at the hotel near the Civic Center. But again, we'll have more details for that closer to the date. But again, you can catch them at the Teen Girl Conference. And yeah, so that's kind of all the announcements I wanted to do there. But going back to our conversation here, Jenny, I wanted to ask you, so through this amount of time that you've just been dancing and really delving into the dancing world, what has been like your favorite dance memory? Like, is there out of all of this experience, like is there a thing that really sticks out to you?
Gosh, that's so hard. There's so many.
It could be many. You could just mention one of them, you know.
I think I have to go back to Puerto Rico. Not perform.
Oh, I want to know the story.
Puerto Rico. So me and Glenda and a friend from Santa Barbara, who was the choreographer of the salsa bachata team that I told you I was part of, I introduced them to each other, and we had this idea of like, let's go to Puerto Rico. And I think it was supposed to be like a birthday thing for Glenda. And then it transformed into a dance friends trip. And so we invited all of our dancing friends. And that's where I invited Moises. And I was like, you have to go. And at the time, he was creating a choreography for Todo de Ti by Raúl Alejandro. Mm-hmm. And he taught it to me. We loved it. We were supposed to film it. But then I think like schedules didn't work out. We reached out to a videographer. We asked him to film it, but then we're like, okay, well, we're going to Puerto Rico, and Raúl Alejandro's from Puerto Rico. Mm-hmm. So we told the videographer to go with us out there, and then we taught the choreography to our friends out there, and then we performed it out there. And we went to like different little parts of the island, and yeah, we performed it, and then just dancing like in front of other people, you know, we're playing the music.
Yeah.
And that was a really popular song at the time. So being right in front of the water and being surrounded by the colorful buildings and the warm temperature, like, that was a beautiful, beautiful memory. And you can see that video on, I think we both have it on our social media accounts, but I think you can tell that there's this like there's a friendship, I had warmth in that video. Yeah,
I've seen it, and you've posted about it, but I never really knew or understood the story. So I was excited that you mentioned it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. You should watch it. It's a pretty
I got to take a look at it. It seems like the vibes were immaculate.
Yeah.
I wanted to tie it in because it's a great question.
And Glenda actually just also put it in our chat right now that she loves this story. So thank you for sharing it.
I wanted to tie it in because I know you in the beginning you mentioned so many different things that you're doing. So how does dance play in your personal and academic life? Just to transition a little.
Okay, I see what you did. Personal and academic, right? That's what you said. Well, I feel like dance has been a teacher for me. There's so many life lessons that you learn in dance. And so that's how I think that's how it comes over to my personal life. Like I said earlier, it helps me with self-expression. It helps me kind of take ownership of what's me, my feelings, my body, my thoughts, my fears, my needs. And then it's therapeutic. Dance for me is super, super therapeutic. Whenever I'm stressed or I'm struggling with emotions, I dance. Whenever I'm like writing a paper and I'm like, I don't know, I've hit like a writer's block, I put the paper away, walk away, dance in the bathroom for a little bit or dance in the kitchen, and then I come back to it and I feel just like liberated. The movement is so important. And then I used to think to myself, dance, and I still do, but I'd say like dance healed me from a very dark space that I was at a few years ago. And then like the therapy thing came in. Like I wanted to kind of go into counseling psychology to really understand myself, because I think that I have a really like complex childhood. And so I wanted to kind of heal myself, to heal, I'd say, the trauma that's been passed on across the years. And dance kind of started that for me, but I wanted to take it further. And so once I got into counseling psychology, into the program, I think I've been doing a lot of healing with the theories and everything that I'm learning there.
Yeah.
Also with seeing clients now, I feel like by helping them heal, I'm also healing myself. Because you can't just preach, right? You got to practice it too. And so my dream is to combine dance and therapy together. I think it would be super, super effective. There is a thing called dance movement therapy. I have to do a little more research on it, but it's supposed to be very healing for trauma. Yeah. And so that's how they combine.
Yeah.
I hope I answered your question.
No, that was fantastic.
Wow. I'm amazed that it was your journey through everything you're doing. It's beautiful to hear stories like that it's easy for us to let our traumas and challenges drown us, but there are those stories where you find something you're passionate about that can help you make the path for you. And especially in dance, I'm very artistic, so photography, videography is my language of like therapy in a way.
Yeah.
But growing up for me in school, I was always told like, but you can never get a degree in that. You're never going to get paid that way. So which is why for me it's super important to highlight, dancers, writers, songwriters, singers, because there's also this other world behind it that is not put onto the table as often. So, like the therapy you're talking about, that's something that I haven't even heard about that. So it's just all of this things combined that makes your story really awesome.
Yeah, I'd say your art, because I feel like that's art. This is art.
Yeah.
Music art is a projection of what's happening inside.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
I think we all need to share that.
Yeah.
Like again, this has all been really wonderful because again, I feel the same way. Like with me, like recording music and being able to help other people record their own music, like that's therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
Because it helps me like kind of understand, okay, what kind of music does this person want to make? And then once, just every artist, right? We're all artists, and we all have our different ways of how we want to handle our art. So when I work with other people, when it comes to writing music or recording their music, it's always just so awesome to see them, show off like how they are right now, like to me, like front facing. But then once they actually start recording music, and then they turn to like a whole different person. You know what I mean? Like it helps bring something out of them. Right.
It's so true.
And it's really, really, really awesome to see that. And that's why I really enjoy doing the arts. Again, especially music, just because it's a language that can be universally spoken, really. And again, yeah, like you said, there's just people that express themselves way better when they're just in this state of recording music or expressing it, or through dance, right? Dancing, or even going to the gym, right? Because you mentioned that you're also a personal trainer, and you also, you train these other people who are also, and how has that been, being a personal trainer, now that we're touching on that?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I enjoyed it so much. I did it because, I had like 3 weeks, I think, or 3 or 4 weeks between my semesters, winter and spring. And I had overheard another coach tell another person that they should get their certification and become a trainer. And in my head, I was like, well, I've been a dancer my whole life, basically. I think that it'd be nice to just find out more about my body and how I could enhance it. I could make it more strong. And so I did the certification, which can take very, very long. I did it in, I think it was like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And then I became a trainer, and it's helped so much. I'm learning about my own body. I'm learning about how I can communicate with other people. Because like I said, your body can be a vulnerable thing. Like dance is a vulnerable thing because it requires the body. And so I'm learning about how to communicate with others in different ways that's like respectful and mindful of their, they may have some boundaries. So just finding different ways to communicate with people. It's helped me with, I think, speaking like confidently. Oh my gosh, the first few times I had to like give people instructions of the workout. I was so nervous. My whole body was like super warm and shaking, and like
because you're trying to act like professional and trying to look like you know what you're doing, right?
Oh my god. And thanks for saying that, because that's the other thing. Stepping into authority, like that has been so hard for me. The only place where I feel confident to do that is in the dance realm, when I am the choreographer, right? So I feel comfortable with owning my authority there. But in my family dynamic, in school, like it's always been difficult to have some sort of authority there, and personal training allowed me to do that. Because I did the work. I went and I studied, and then I'm still learning to this day. I'm learning from other people. But yeah, being comfortable with having authority is something
That's interesting.
I've been learning.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I love how you're like very touching bases in different areas to learn more about yourself. And it's often that we don't do that because we're told, or even just society itself, that like you have to stay in one lane. But it's beautiful to touch different areas, because then you can learn something you like, you don't like. I bring that a lot on the show because I want to make sure people like explore a little bit more and then stay in one thing. I do have a curiosity in how you balance all of this. Like how do you stay grounded from like going to school, dance, you're doing your businesses that you guys you're doing, and then also like training. How do you balance all of that? Because it's a lot.
It's a lot. Self-reflection and my support system. Self-reflection, I need to, when I'm driving, I will talk out loud. It'll look like I'm on the phone, but I'm talking out loud to myself. I am working through my emotions. If I'm stressed out because something didn't go as planned, or I have 10 minutes to get from one thing to the other and I lost track of time, or whatever, I talk those emotions out, those thoughts out in the car. Sometimes I'll catch myself crying because it's just raw. Like there's just so much. There's so many things I want to do and I can't do it all. And that kind of upsets me sometimes. I think just having compassion for yourself, like you're doing the best you can. In terms of, and that's one way I reflect. I have various ways that I do self-reflection. I have my own therapist as well, and I'm so grateful for that person because they've helped me kind of go towards the edge of my feelings and really take ownership of everything. And there's certain feelings that I haven't been comfortable expressing, and my therapist is he's allowed me to explore that. And my social support system, like talking to my boyfriend, my parents, my cousins, just touching base, my friends,
everyone,
my
exactly.
friends. Like I feel like I'm very vocal, and that's where dance comes back into play, because I've allowed myself to express a lot through dance. I think that anybody who talks to me, they realize that I'm like very expressive, and I will kind of be very open about what's happening. Yeah.
That's the thing I really wanted to mention there. Again, thank you for sharing all that. Because I know any kind of support system that you can get, as many as you can, the better, right? And especially with how busy you are, it's kind of hard to really find the scheduling for that. But I'm glad that you found something that has worked for you. And then for me personally, like what has helped a lot too is just like you were saying, like having a good close circle of friends that are all kind of doing the same thing that you're doing or has the same interest as you. Because I have like two different friend groups. I have like the friend group that I grew up with, and then I have another friend group that I can talk about my art and stuff, because like, again, I need to be around people that are also creating art or creating videos or creating music, because it helps me keep myself motivated. But it's also like if I need some feedback, I can ask them. If they need some feedback, I can again, it's just such a good system to create. So really, like if there's like one big piece of advice here, is just like really, really look into who you're hanging out with, because they really do have a big influence on you. And the good thing is, like, I mean, with dance, it's such a social type of hobby that you're gonna meet different people every time that you're there, right? Especially at the dance classes. And same with music, you're always collaborating with different people, and you're finding, again, different artists. So again, all that is just so great, and thank you again. I just really wanted to emphasize that. What you said.
Thank you. I feel like I have to keep emphasizing that as well. I feel like there was a point in my life where I felt like the answer was to be isolated, to like, oh, don't get distracted by anything out there. But I think isolation can be good to a certain degree, and not like isolate, but just like go inward. Go inward, reflect, be with yourself, be comfortable being alone is super important. But just as important is having relationships, secure, healthy relationships, because we enter into this world as babies, and we need a relationship to be able to survive. Without it, I mean, we won't have a sense of who we are or whether we deserve to be cared for. So relationships are super important. Social support system. Please.
I love that. That's a good reminder for myself.
Because you are your biggest enemy. Yourself. Yourself is your biggest enemy. Because you can start dance. Like, for example, myself. I'm telling myself that I'm not a good dancer, but it's because I'm not making the motivation. I'm not doing the work to actually go to these dance classes and go actually get something. See, that's on me, and I'm recognizing that. But again, like, it's I know it's hard, and it's hard for me. It is. It's hard for me to break that barrier and actually want to go to a dance class, to actually feel better when I'm dancing. And I know for others, it can be applied to other things, right? Like, oh, if I want to start learning how to be a good videographer, then I need to like start actually going out and filming stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just all gonna happen all of a sudden. Like, all of a sudden, you're not just gonna know how to like dance every type of dance, right? Or be the best photographer in the world, or videographer, whatever, right? It requires your own motivation, your own courage to go up and do it. So that's why I have so much respect for everyone in all sorts of art forms, for even being able to accomplish what they're doing. Because it's hard. It's hard. But once you're in it, and again, like you said, you have your good close friends, you kind of have a system down and everything. It's just such a beautiful feeling. And so
do you are there any misconceptions about either dance or being a student, that you'd like to address, or like something that you would want to change, in the world either of dance training or being a student?
I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. Where is that coming from? Like, what's motivating you to ask that question?
Because you mentioned earlier, like when, before the show, guys, when we were talking about how I shared my how I felt going into Moy and Glenda's bachata dance. But that came out wrong. Bachata dance. I was talking about how, like, for me, I was really nervous. I was scared that I wouldn't know how to dance because I don't know how to.
Yeah.
But going in there with them, it was like they read the room, which I really appreciated. They were listening and saying, "Can we move on? No? Do you want to do it again?" Which allowed me to feel like comfortable and safe. But you mentioned going to LA, right? That it was, this whole other thing, but you brought that back, and that's why your way of teaching is very like taking what you've learned. So that's why that came back up.
Yeah, misconceptions of dancing, and you said
being a student and training.
Yeah. Well, in terms of dancing, I'm thinking of like, I think we go in there and everybody's staring at us. And I think also in personal
that's a big
training,
one.
yeah, like we think everybody's staring at us and hyper focused on our mistakes and like how we're doing it wrong or whatever. We're not doing it right. And I think that that's a misconception. Really, I think that everybody's just as nervous or a little self-conscious about it. And really, everybody's focused on themselves. And maybe they're looking at you, but I think that oftentimes people are looking because they appreciate something. Like something's catching their attention. They appreciate something about you. And that draws their, they
draws their eye, yeah.
Exactly. They look at you for that reason. In terms of student, oh gosh, I don't know why this comes to my mind, and I don't know if it's gonna be I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but at least being a grad student, I think that I've heard the narrative of like you kind of have to. You're a student, and you have to. That's all you are right then and there. But I feel like there's so much more to life, and you can't just let school be the only thing that defines you.
Right.
No.
I bring that up because I remember going into grad school and feeling like I would have to give up everything. Like no more dancing, no more social life. Yes, to a certain degree. But I don't want people to go in with that mentality. If I had that mentality, I think that many people must think the same way, that you kind of have to give up everything. But no, like do everything with balance. I feel like what makes me is being a good friend, a good sister, a great daughter, a great girlfriend, a dancer, being expressive. Like I can't just let school like take over my life and then not be present in other areas of my life. Yeah. So like filling up your cup everywhere, filling up family time, filling up your recreational activities, your hobbies, like fill up those cups. Yeah.
Do you have like do you have a planner for yourself, or do you have like
You know what? I thought for a second to bring it with me. I was like, I feel like they're gonna ask me about the planner because I have so much on my plate.
Because the way you're talking about that, it sounds like, because it's really hard for me to even like balance things out like in my head.
Yeah.
So it's like the way you were just describing it seems like you have this kind of all written down or planned out.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
I should send you guys a picture of my planner. There's some weeks where it doesn't go as well. And I appreciate my mentor for this, which I have a mentor and I haven't mentioned him. But he told me that like a planner is a suggestion. When you plan out your day, it's a suggestion. And I really appreciated that. At first, when he said that to me, I was kind of annoyed. I'm like, no, like I have to do this. But over time, I've realized I'm a human. I'm not a robot. And I can have a structure. I can try to, follow that as best as possible. But it's a suggestion. And if I don't hit everything that I wanted to hit, it's okay. I will try again tomorrow and the next day.
And yeah, again, planning out, having a schedule for yourself is so important. Goes such a long way. It really, really does. Because then you'll get, again, like you're making muscle memory of what you're doing every day.
Yeah.
Because there's some things that you do every week, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, for those people that might be listening who are saying maybe, oh, well, I don't have that much to do. I don't really need a planner. But well, if you want to like grow as a person, maybe still plan out maybe an activity that you want to try out this week, and then just have it written down. Yeah. Like for me, like what for me has always helped is just writing things down. Like I just have to write something down, and then it like stays in my head.
I was going to ask that question. Do you prefer a more like digital or physical
Planner.
Planner?
Yeah.
Because I'm in the psychology field, we have been told that we need to write more because there's the sensory side of it, right? You're activating your hand. And that I think is going to be more integrated than typing. Typing, it's so quick. I mean, I've seen in my notes, I know I can go more in depth with typing, but I feel like I only retain like 10% of that stuff. But when I write it, I really feel like it's ingrained into my brain because I'm really focused on putting the thoughts into writing, right? Feeling the pen on the paper,
All that,
reading it, like, yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, and then talking about I want to talk about the gym again here. And I know we talked about kind of like ways in which people who wanted to get into dancing can be good, like the ways they can actually like start getting less stiff. But for gym, what advice do you have for people who are new to the gym? Since you're a personal trainer, right? What do you like starting off your students with, or what things like that? Yeah.
I'm thinking about I did not like the gym for a very long time.
How come?
Because, like I said earlier, I thought that by going in, everybody was staring at me. And that felt so uncomfortable. And I felt like I wasn't doing anything right. And that people knew and they were judging me. And then I just also had no awareness of like, what is this specific movement targeting? Like, right? What is it going to help me with?
Yeah.
So I think with knowledge, I was able to eventually figure that out. But I'd say for someone who's entering that space, just give yourself a pat on the back for just showing up. Or if you're contemplating and you want to go, but like there's something holding you back, just know that like it's so courageous for you to step in there. We all have to start somewhere. It's going to start with this little small step. Maybe you show up and you take it at your own pace, very slowly. You really lean upon the trainers. And then with time, the more often you show up, it's going to get easier in a sense. I mean, you also get stronger, so it never gets easier.
Right.
But just, I think just giving yourself a lot of self-compassion. Like you're doing something really good for your body. There's a lot of science behind that it's really good for your mental health. And so just know that by stepping into that gym, you're being super, super brave. Yeah.
And where could people kind of find inspiration for like exercises? Because I know that's like a big question. I was like, once they go into the gym, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Right? Like,
I love that we live in a day of social media. Like there's so much technology out there. There's so many apps. There are a lot of athletes out there that they want to just educate people. Social media. I'm thinking like social media influencers, but I know they don't categorize themselves as that. There's a lot of YouTubers and they're on Instagram as well. And they're just trying to educate because they know that higher education or like formal education is not always accessible. And so they've done the work and they want to grant you with that. But also just be very mindful that like it's easy to get injured if you don't have extra supervision there. I think that going with a partner, if you're going to go to a gym, going with a partner, or if you're going to go to a group fitness setting like F45, there's going to be trainers there as well. Having community, like if you could establish some community, I think that's more sustainable than just going to the gym by yourself. Connect with people if you can.
No, that makes total sense.
I have like a very off-topic question I want to ask you. Like,
we have about 2 minutes left, so
it's very quick.
Yeah.
Or actually, never mind. I'll ask you later.
No, I mean, just go for it.
I'm just curious because of you're so many things on your plate. How is your sleep? Like, do you sleep a lot? Because I've heard very different stories from people. Like, I sleep 4 hours or I take naps in between. Like, what is your sleep schedule like?
It's changed as of recently.
Okay.
Last semester, and that's where my tipping point was at, and that's where I was like, everything has to change. I was sleeping maybe 5 hours a night, which is not good. There was a couple nights where I would pull all-nighters because I was so behind on certain things, and I needed to make sure to hit that deadline. But now I'm taking a what's this called? It's called psychopharmacology. And so I'm learning a lot about the brain and how important sleep is for mental health, for preventing diseases that you might be predisposed to genetically. And so, or like cancer, I'm like, oh my gosh, sleep is so important to reduce inflammation. All of that, like now I have to go to sleep and get the least I'll do is 6.5 hours, but mostly I'm getting about 8 hours to, 8 hours.
Okay. Well, that's unfortunately all the time we have.
Okay.
But thank you so much, Jenny, for being on our show with us today. It was really, really insightful. And yeah, we just wish you the best in continuing your fitness journey, your dance journey, your therapist journey, all of it, all the different journeys. But thank you again, Jenny. And thank you all for watching, and we'll all catch you all next week. Take care.